Hey gang, this is Rory from Team 11, and today I'm going to be showing off the game that we have made, HollowSteel. This is the landing page that appears when you first start up the exe, and it has three options for you as start, settings, and quit. I'm going to start with settings, and here we see we have a background music and a sound effects bar, and these can be changed however you want. And we also have a timer and speed bar UI toggle, so if you don't want these to be on, you can turn them off and on. And if we press save and we quit and we start again, these settings should be saved, which they have, thank goodness. So I'm going to start. And when the player first starts the game, the first thing that you should notice is in the top left hand side of the screen there is a timer. And that is there because we made this game to appeal to speedrunners and power users, people who like to beat their own score, and that's kind of the target audience. Although it is definitely accessible to other players as well, I think. The first thing the player will notice when they play the game is that if they try to move back or left or right, which is S, A, or D on the keyboard respectively, nothing's going to happen. But if the player presses W, we will then begin to build speed, and you will notice the bar at the bottom of the screen. That fills up when you start to move, and it basically correlates to the player's speed. And you can also see this reflected in the gyro on the player's hand, which also begins to build speed as the player moves. And once you've begun to build up some speed, you can then begin to move around in different directions. And this is basically meant to create a feeling of momentum and weight in the player's movement, sort of akin to other games like Mirror's Edge, for example. I think is the best example of that. Other things that the player can do, they can jump. In fact, the first thing the player has to do when they start the game is jump over this barrier, and in fact they cannot progress forward unless they learn how to do that. And we have actually tutorial images that are not in the game in this current build, but they would be like holographic diegetic posters in the game that would be on the side of the building, for example, teaching the player how to jump if they don't already know, which is spacebar. And from here the player can also see an enemy from a safe distance. They can see that they are patrolling, and this should be a pretty easy first kill for the player. Excuse me. So when the player feels like they're ready, they can jump over, or they can get caught. That was me getting hit there a little bit too slow. But if I hit him, he will then fall down and die, of course. And other movement options that we have are the dash, which is if I push shift, I will then be teleported forward a small distance. I'll show that in action in a little bit, but it's basically meant for getting the player out of tight circumstances or as a movement tool to move around the map. Yes, there is also a middle mouse click sword throw, which I have thrown out of bounds. We would have hoped that it would regenerate in your hand, but in this current build, if you lose your sword, you can move back to this sign whenever you want, and you will be furnished with a new sword. Okay, so I'm going to move forward into the level now. It should also be noted, actually, that when you use the dash, you can see the green UI element on the hand. When I dash, that turns a darker color of red, and then it slowly turns back to green. This is basically a diegetic meter that shows the player when their ability is charged or not. So if I push shift and before it's turn fully green again, it won't work, but if I push it when it's green, it'll begin to work again. So this is the level fully. Once the player's out of this tutorial space, they will then be able to tackle this however they want. The basic gist of the game is to kill every enemy in the arena as fast as possible. And that includes the drones over there and the big boys, which we have named these larger fellas. The big boys have vision cones, these green cones in front of them. These will change color if you're caught, which I will now show you. Yeah, it's turned red, and it will go to yellow if they have lost sight of you. Oop. And that's their attack animation. Big boys will basically run at you, but at a slower speed than you currently move. However, if a drone comes into contact with a big boy, he will then buff that big boy that he's following, and that big boy will then become faster, although one of them appears to be bugged. This is a good time actually to show off the dash, because I'm kind of in a bit of a pickle right now. So if I do that, I can get a clear escape and move out of a difficult situation for me. Okay, so damage in the game is currently tied to how much speed you have, which is us trying to incentivize the player to move fast. This guy currently has a drone following him, so it's making him a little bit difficult to attack. Giving him more HP, I think. I'm not sure if that is currently in this build. But speed definitely isn't good when a drone is attached to a big boy. Moving forward, I think I'm going to go inside. I've snuck up behind this guy because he can't see me because his vision cone. Clearly doesn't do enough damage there. I need to move a little bit faster than that. There we go. To move up into the second floor. There's I don't believe there is any enemies up here. All up here. I'm going to use my dash to clear this jump. Okay. And lastly, try not to die. That's the last hurdle. Here we go. That's everyone dead. And once everyone is dead, you will be showing your final time. And the game will enter a pause state where basically you can either restart or you can exit. I'm going to restart to show you one last thing. Is that when the player is caught and they take damage, howdy, it's them taking damage. If I take too much damage in a short amount of time, Bob. Hey me. God, I have a lot of HP. There we go. That's my death animation, where I'll basically fall apart and die, like a sort of a robot. That is it, I believe, for this gameplay walkthrough. There's not really much else to show of the current builds, but we have a working build, and we're all pretty proud of what we've made, so yeah. This is our vertical slice in its full form. Okay, thank you for listening, gang. Peace.